Where do you see the real estate market from a professional point of view in the next 3 to 5 years?
This is going to be the real estate capital of the world. When I say real estate capital, I'm talking about the construction, the amount of growth.
What would you recommend? Should I invest an apartment?
Buy a commercial property for 800,000 dirhams.
Okay.
Spend 200,000 in making it nice.
Right.
Rent it out to somebody who's going to give you high rent because you've done a very good job of how you made it, and they need a ready office.
A lot of people who are doing much better than you. And don't you sometimes then feel, oh, I want to reach there?
Anything that I try to copy from somewhere else, which is whether it's lifestyle or something, there's a huge risk of losing that happiness that I already have.
Ashirwad, welcome to Deep Talks.
Thank you very much.
So you've been a pioneer in real estate industry. I think I've known you for the past 15 years. And I believe you have about 20 years of experience here in Dubai working in real estate. And I come to you for real estate advice quite often. We have like really deep chats, not on official deep talks, but we often have these chats. I sometimes think you're like a Nostradamus for real estate because you made these predictions, at least when we chat up. And a lot of those predictions, more often than not, have come true. So I take your advice quite seriously. And what I want to do with today's episode is give our audience that sense of advice, or just to get it's an idea from a professional like you as to where real estate is heading, not only in Dubai, different parts of the world, what people should be doing if they have some cash sitting idle, mortgage, or, number of things related to real estate and about life in general. So are we ready?
I'm here to share what I know.
Brilliant. Right, let's start. So let's assume that I have, I'm newly married. And me and my wife, both of us make about 10,000 dirhams a month, right? Okay. So that's a collective income of 20,000 dirhams. And we have about 200, 250,000, 300,000 cash idle sitting ready to invest. What do you suggest? What should be our first move in real estate?
All right. So, I'm a very formula guy. So I'm going to give you a basic formula, which works for 20,000, which works for 40,000, which works for any amount when you're starting out to buy your real estate and the first real estate investment. So first of all, when you do the first real estate investment into your home, you don't call it an investment, but it's a replacement of your rent, right? So that's how you need to look at your first investment, which is replacing your rental income, your rental expense rather. I think what you need to calculate as a couple is what your disposable income is. And disposable income, I mean that, minus your regular expenses. You just don't minus your rent and you minus everything else. Now you're left with a figure. That keep a 30% margin of error for the market to move up and down. And then the money that you have left, that you see as your installment. That should be your maximum installment to replace your current rent. So I think with that formula, if a household works with that formula, I think it's got that a bit of cushion for risk, and that also is a good point to start with. And most probably than not, it will fit into your current rental, what you are any which ways living in. So I think that's kind of give and take. Of course, every person is different, but give and take with that. I think that's where you have your first investment formula.
Right. So say, for example, if I'm paying 10,000 dirhams on rent,
yes,
right, and in Dubai, with the bank rates of mortgage, your rent normally more expensive than your mortgage.
Yeah.
Let's take this again. Say you're in Dubai and you're making 10,000 dirhams a month, right?
Okay.
And you're paying rent of say 4,000 dirhams,
okay,
right? Now, if you even take an apartment, a studio, you'll end up probably paying mortgage, which is less than your rent of 4,000 dirhams. So in that, and if you have some cash idle, then would you not recommend someone, instead of paying a rent, which is going to count for nothing in the end,
correct,
take a loan and take an apartment?
100%. And any capitalization that you're doing from the money that you're otherwise giving out on rent is in the end benefit for you.
Right.
And a lot of times people told me that we are not sure whether we live here for long term, 10 years, 5 years, 8 years. And believe me, I tell them that even then, whatever you capitalize, right, is going to be recoverable from the sale of the apartment that you own.
Yeah.
So that is a no-brainer. And I think people should actively look at replacing their rents and becoming homeowners. The only thing, and I will repeat this a few times in this podcast, is 30% margin of error to provide for falling rents, mortgage payments, any unforeseen increase in interest rates. A few things can shift. It should not be that you are so cut to cut that any move impacts you in a very bad way, because then you don't want to be in a situation where you cannot hold on to that investment.
Right.
So 30% margin of error and you're good to go, and you should do it.
Right. So the advice is that, okay, so you're making X amount of money,
Yes.
but if you're paying rent, you might as well invest some capital, buy an apartment,
Correct.
and take a mortgage, and then pay the mortgage instead of rent, because in 15 years, 20 years, however long the mortgage is,
Yeah.
after that, you have a big capital that you've paid for as mortgage, and which you can sell, live rent-free, or rent it out to make passive income.
Lots of things can happen, Jatin. In 5 years' time, you could have higher salary, your price could have increased of the apartment. The thing is that you go in with that mode, and then, the way will be paved for you.
Right.
But you do not start, you don't get anywhere.
You take action.
You
basically.
take action.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's my take. But when you look at India, for example, now both of us come from India.
Yes.
Now, when you look at that market, the mortgage that you're paying is quite high, and the rental income that you get is quite low. So, for example, an apartment in Bombay, that's where we come from, you're paying very low rent. But if you take a mortgage, it's probably 3 times of what you'll pay as rent. What's your take for that market?
So anybody who's exposed to Dubai, even people who live in India and invest in India, and once they're exposed to Dubai as a market, it makes no financial sense, absolutely zilch, to actually invest in an apartment in India.
Okay.
I do not own a single apartment in India. What makes sense in India is land.
Right.
Only land investment, clean title, a lot of caveats with it. Like, you have to know what you're doing. But apartment as an investment makes zero sense financially. Just if you look at the algorithm, you are in US dollar economy in Dubai. You are paying less mortgage. You're getting high yields, and you can really build your wealth here. You're not paying any taxes. There's so many. There are
Right.
10 reasons.
Right.
It makes no financial sense whatsoever.
But what about India being a very stable market where we haven't seen the prices drop like any, it's always on the increase. So in terms of capital appreciation, it's sort of a guaranteed, isn't it?
My point to you is very simple. If in 7 years your entire capital is coming back, what risk are we talking about? So in Dubai, from your rental yield, if you look at it cumulatively, if you reinvested that 8% into something, and I'm just saying a basic yield, 8-9% yield on your property is essentially 7 years of payback. In 7 years, if your entire capital is back, then why are you worried about the market trend? The market trend impacts you if you're over leveraged.
Right.
That's what I'm against.
Yeah.
But if you pure financial to financial comparison, there is no doubt.
Right.
In India, you'll pay more mortgage, you will get less rental. So in 30 years, you'll not be able to get your payback. In 7 years, you have a payback here.
Right.
So
yeah, that explains it.
Stable market is a good hypothesis, but it is not really stable in that sense. If your payback
in terms
is so
of your
fast.
returns, yeah,
absolutely.
Well, obviously, people would invest there for more sentimental, emotional, driven decisions. But if it's a financial decision, you're saying obviously Dubai is a market to invest in.
200%.
200%.
And I'm sorry, I know a lot of Indian developers. Some of my friends are not going to like what I'm saying, but it just
We're stating facts.
Absolutely.
So let's take 2 scenarios of real estate investing.
Yeah.
A lot of people invest throughout the journey of 20 years, 15 years, take mortgage, build 2-3 homes or buy 2-3 apartments here in Dubai with an intention that after 20 years, when the mortgage is paid off, they will rent out those apartments or villas. And because the rents are high, they get a very high income through the rents.
Correct.
So that is one scenario. Second scenario is people buy homes and then flip it probably in a year, 2 years, 3 years. I don't know. You're an expert. You can tell us a little bit more about it. Which model would you go for?
flipping is not for non-experts.
Right.
Flipping is not for non-professionals.
It's like trading.
It's like trading. It is got its own philosophies and the way it works.
Mhm.
You really need to be very deep into real estate to understand what is flippable, what is not. Just because me or somebody else advised you that this is a good buy and you buy and flip it, you're more likely than not you're going to lose money.
Right.
Okay. I think building a portfolio is a very good strategy. But again, as I said to you earlier, I'm going to repeat this many times, margin of error. A lot of people get that wrong. A lot of people fill up the glass to the brim and any shake is going to spill the water, right? So please allow, and this is my really sincere advice to everybody who wants to invest in real estate, make your portfolio. But if you start and do 70% build up to what you can, keep 30% margin of error, you will still be doing very, very good. In fact, better than, because you'll be able to also handle the downturn. Over 20-year strategy, you're talking about 2 cycles.
Right.
So 2 cycles to survive, you need that margin of error. If you don't keep that margin of error, the whole house of cards can collapse.
Yeah.
Right? So please keep that margin of error. Invest 70% of what you can.
Right.
And then you build up your portfolio with mortgage and rental income and keep doing it, but always 70%.
Right.
Not 100.
Not 100. So if you're investing in real estate and if you don't have hands-on experience on buying, selling, and you're not involved in day-to-day real estate business, then the better idea or concept for you is to invest in a long term and then enjoy the rental incomes whatever the market does in 10-15 years.
Yeah.
But but what about hiring a broker who's trustworthy or someone like with knowledge like you have, and then getting into flipping or over a period of time buying apartments, selling and increasing capital rather than they're looking for 15-20 years horizon for rental income?
See, it depends. Yeah. As good your advisor is, as good your investments are in their hands. Now, the problem is conflict of interest.
Yeah.
If I am your broker, I'm interested in selling you a property, and then you're asking my advice, then how do you balance that?
True.
Right? So I think there are smart ways of doing it. I do build portfolios for people, but they are based on mutual interests and mutual appreciation and mutual gains.
Right.
It is not my gain at your cost. Right? And a lot of advisors are gaining out of your cost.
Yeah.
And you have to be very, very wary of them because they are nowhere to be seen when the tough time comes.
Right. So it's important to have reliable.
Also the right formulas.
Right formulas.
Also
right.
having the interests aligned. So,
Right.
This is very important. It's like a financial manager who has all your, but your broker cannot be your financial manager, because if your broker is your financial manager, he's getting a commission.
For every sell or buy.
Every selling of new mutual fund he gets.
Yeah.
So he'll keep advising you to keep investing, right? I'm not saying people do, but I'm just saying there is an interest.
Yeah.
And it's
so it has to be a common interest. I mean, for both, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Now, say, for example, if I have $250,000 lying in cash,
okay,
approximately 1 million dirhams, but $300,000.
Sure.
What would you recommend? Should I invest in an apartment, and in which location in Dubai?
So this question will have different answers depending on when you ask me this.
Yeah.
Today being in May of 2025, my answer is going to be different than what was my answer 2 years ago.
Let's take today as the...
Today, I will tell you to invest in commercial offices. I do see a problem and shortage. Shortage is not only commercial offices, shortage is also of the land available for building new commercial towers. So the problem is deeper than, than only the short supply.
Right.
The short supply usually gets covered within 2 years because developers recognize that there is a demand and shortage of supply, and then they start coming out in the market with new buildings, and the gap covers in 2 years approximately.
Right.
But here we are seeing a shortage of land availability for commercial use as well. So this can go on for 3-4 years until new master plans and new government takes some action, and government also feels that there is shortage. So which will take, another year for them to
Mhm.
feel, and you can take advantage of that.
Right. So if you're saying if you have some cash idle right now, the best investment would be a commercial property in Dubai.
Buy a commercial property. I'll give you absolute, my opinion.
Yeah.
Buy a commercial property for 800,000 dirhams.
Okay.
Spend 200,000 in making it nice.
Right.
Rent it out to somebody who's going to give you high rent because you've done a very good job of
Right.
how you made it, and they need a ready office. And then based on that rental yield, sell that property.
Right. So, for example, what is the rental yield for if you're buying a property for a commercial property for 800,000, renovating it 200,000, you put in a total investment of 1 million.
Correct.
What is the sort of rental yield?
You'll get 12 to 13%.
12 to 13%.
If you do exactly what I'm saying. If you just buy a property and rent it out, you'll get 8, 9. But if you buy a property, renovate it, and rent it, you'll get, I'm trying to be conservative, 12 to 13.
Wow, that's a huge return for.
Yes.
But we haven't seen a lot of advertisements or people talking about commercial
Because
property.
there is no benefit for the people who are selling it to you, because it's a hard sell, right? I'm going to sell you a commercial property. I'm going to make a small commission. I'm going to have all the headache of, secondary market. A lot of less people are interested.
So is the brokerage less for commercial properties compared to residential
No, that is
properties?
not true. But brokerage is definitely high for selling you a new off-plan property.
Right, I get it.
Yeah.
And when you say the demand of commercial property is quite high, but the supply is less, which are the couple of areas right now where you can get a commercial property easily, or you don't?
You can. That's the gap we have. You can get everywhere right now.
You can.
You can.
Okay.
You can get commercial properties right now, because people who are holding these commercial properties, they've been holding it for a long time. They've seen vacancies. They were not making a lot of money, so they kind of ready to let it go. They do not see what we see, and that's where you come in. You buy a commercial property. I mean, in Business Bay, there is 1,600 dirhams available and 7,000 available, right? But if you go to rent out a property, you will realize that there is so much shortage.
Right. Wow, very interesting. I'm going to have a little bit of more.
I'm making my own. I'm doing this business, so I don't know how many people will watch this and start becoming a competition. But I don't. I'm here to give you my honest opinion, and this is what it is.
Right. Now, Dubai's real estate obviously is growing for the last few years, and it
Yes.
looks like it's on the right direction. Number of the population growing, number of people coming in. Where do you see the real estate market from a professional point of view in the next 3 to 5 years?
So, Jatin, nobody can predict this rightly. I mean, although you say,
Even though I call you a Nostradamus.
yeah, but Nostradamus also is interpreted later and is perfect. He keeps making new versions of the books, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to be in that scam. But anyway, I believe that there are two factors:
Yeah.
macroeconomics and micro. So macroeconomics is not. I do not say that I have, like, for example, the commercial property advice that I'm giving you is still, the risks are about the macroeconomics. If the macroeconomics itself, if the whole market tanks, then maybe it will tank lesser than the others, right?
Mhm.
But still it will impact.
Yeah.
So if I keep macroeconomics aside
Mhm.
and just look at the trajectory that we are going. So right now, Dubai is obviously a lot of, it's favored by a lot of investors from different parts of the world,
Yeah.
and for different reasons. And the environment, the leadership,
The
they have
safety,
this,
security.
everything that they have created for investors to feel good is working.
Yeah.
Right. The word is spread out there, and it's spreading faster than ever. And people are coming and they are experiencing this, amazing city. So that's all going as per track. And if that continues, Dubai is a very small city compared to how many people are looking at it, right, from the sidelines and wanting to come. So Dubai's growth looks very, very promising. On the other hand, we have a supply coming in as well. And if anything changes, if the demand keeps going the way it is going, the supply will be absorbed. But if the demand, for some reason, I don't know, I do not know right now if
Yeah.
there is any reason, but if for some reason the demand drops, you can't stop the train, immediately. Like it takes a time to for the supply to stop. So I think we can have those situations in Dubai. But personally, I would again say the same thing: with caution, invest. So one more thing I would like to
Mhm.
advise, to maybe a more investor kind of advice, not only the first home buyer,
Mhm.
is that you play with your investment a good high risk, high return game with 30 to 40% of the money, and keep 50 to 60% of the money for uh, securing those in a bad
Rainy
time,
day.
on a
Yeah.
rainy day.
Mhm.
Because the kind of money that you can make with that 30-40% high risk investment is same as a little safer investment of and investing the 100,
Yeah.
right? And that safer investment is also based on the assumption that the macro is going to be good.
Mhm.
So when you're taking the macro risk, take full risk with small money.
Right. Right. Interesting. Now, since real estate is doing well, like we just discussed, a number of people I meet who are in different professions want to get into real estate, become a broker. A lot of think it's fast money, it's easy money, because the market trend are showing that everyone's buying homes, buying properties. What is your one recommendation? Because I know the hard work that you've gone through, a lot of people in real estate go through. There have been some really turbulent times. There have been some really difficult times, and it's all a cycle, right?
Correct.
But just jumping into a cycle right now when the market's on a high, and thinking, this is my chance, golden ticket to make fast money. What is your one advice?
My one advice is very simple: that every day is not going to be same. Uh, Only people who are meant to be in this business will stay. The choice, the nature will choose, the market will choose its own people, people who are weak-hearted. So when I started real estate, we had a little bit of good run, but then we hit very, very rough patches. We didn't quit. A lot of people quit. So people who didn't quit are still here. People who quit are probably trying and quitting something else. I don't know. So how many people come in is not important at this stage. The market is good. Everybody is welcome to this market. Everybody is not successful even in this market. That depends on a lot of
Hmm.
personal attributes. I can't say one cookie cutter answer for it.
Yeah.
But when the tough time comes, it really depends on who is very serious about this business.
Yeah.
So if you can do this for the next 20 years and you are in love with real estate, there's no bad time to start it.
Right.
Even if it's up or down, doesn't matter. If you're looking at it purely from the perspective of I'll make some money and do something else, then I think you're wasting your time, because very quick money doesn't exist. And then you're going to waste your time here. You're better off chasing what you really want to follow as a passion.
Right. Not just for a quick buck.
I don't think there is a quick buck.
Right.
One lucky story, people hear, but there are thousands who follow. It's like hitting a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
But I believe that hard work, if you come with the intention to do hard work, there are rewards, but they
Yeah.
could be,
Yeah.
at a duration of time.
So talking about hard work, how many hours in a day do you work?
I'm getting better. I'm working less now.
You're working less now.
Yeah, I'm consciously making an effort to make it slow a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think real estate can. If you treat it like a job where you do it and then you stop thinking about it, I think it's like a doctor, right? 2 o'clock in the night, doctor gets a call from the patient, he goes and attends it. I think that's the mindset which real estate brokers, they are on
Mhm.
all the time.
Right.
And I think I don't remember switching off
Mm.
thinking about real estate.
Right. So,
So it's a 24/7. It's a bug.
yeah.
It's like,
But then you need
it's
to be passionate about it, right?
100%.
Otherwise the whole concept of work-life balance will come in and
Yeah. No, you need to be passionate, and the boundary of leisure gets disappeared. Like,
Yeah.
it disappears in the whole. When you're having fun, then it's not like work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to play the game hard, and you have to play long hours. You have to put in a n number of hard work.
If you love it, you will.
You will.
So you
Yeah.
don't have to do anything. If you love it, there is no other way you will
Yeah.
think.
So
And
that's what it is. I think this debate that's been going on about work-life balance, that people should have weekends off, people should only work 9 to 6. It's fair enough. It's okay for people who want to do that, and do all due respect. But I think if you really want to grow in life, be and create businesses that employ a lot of people, create your own persona, image, whatever targets you have, and if you really want to go for it, I don't think there is a work-life balance.
Jatin, there was a time when it was physical labor,
Right.
and that's why the rest to body was designed. Now we are in the world where we are doing mental
Yeah.
exercise in our. We are using our brain to, you know, create some new ideas and things, especially where we are in business. And I think there is no 7 days you 5 days you think and 2 days you stop thinking. I mean, it's not possible,
Yeah.
right? And I think this culture of 5 day working and 2 day is coming from that industrial age culture.
When everyone's just going to the factory at 9 in the morning, working all
Yes,
day, grinding.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there is a start and stop, because you go to the machine, you work and you stop, and then pack up the machine and go home and sleep and rest and come back the next day. But it's not in your world. In my world, this is now how it's working.
Yeah. But
And
there are still people out there who prefer that. They want to go to work at 9, they want to finish at 6, they want to have their weekend off. And they're happy with where they are in life, probably with a little growth, what they want to do. But they have that very clear objective in their head, and they're happy with it, which is fair. They are playing that game. But the kind of game we're playing, and I'm talking about you and me right now, is we want to grow the business. We want to get into new business. We want to innovate. We want to be creative. We want to. So I don't think there is a downtime.
what I'm
When,
saying is, if there is a downtime on Wednesday, take it.
yeah,
Why do you
there are no
fixate
set
it?
times.
There are, so yeah. Today you asked me how was your day. I said I'm taking it easy.
Yeah,
I designed it that way. Today I'm taking it easy. After this, I will go to meet some friends. Like, I'm not always only rushing behind business, but it doesn't have to be that 5 days I will
yeah,
do it and 2 days I will not.
yeah.
Right?
So
So
I
there's no
remember.
boundary, thick boundaries between that.
Yeah, so you're not like running all the time. It's a marathon. You're running, you're sprinting, you're running fast,
Yeah,
slow. You're taking it easy, and mixing it up.
yeah.
That's good.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Yeah, that's very
I
important, right?
think my theme for this year is to really just enjoy what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. So what's the future then? I mean, when you say
Enjoy
you've
more.
stopped, you're not working as
Enjoy
hard.
more.
I had my next question will follow. So have you made it already then? So you're not working. You're not
I'm
going to
not
work
sure.
as hard.
I don't know what made it is. Uh, yes, if there is no limit to what you can, or a human can want in life, right? But there is, if you go to the basics,
Hmm.
I think if there is a life that I want to live, putting food on the table, I think that is sorted, right?
Hmm.
Once that is sorted, then you create your own boundary, you create your own limits, and you decide what you want in life, right? So for me, it's not that I've made it. I'm, going to still work. I'm going to still want to make money, want to make wealth, create wealth,
Hmm.
make some change, use that wealth for some good, whatever that is. But that will not be the only thing.
Hmm.
I think the priorities are moving a little bit to the gray area than only money. Definitely.
Right. That's very interesting, because not everybody can, and with due respect, and you have to sort of understand that why people think differently. It's
Yes,
culture,
of
background, what they
course.
want out of life. But if you can define what you want, and if you can stop at that, when I say stop, I'm not saying that you have to stop work, but you don't go crazy over it. You
Correct.
don't take undue pressure. You're not working 24
Absolutely.
hours a day. And
Absolutely.
if you can define that and live by that goal, I think that's a great life, a happy life, right?
So I think that is the objective, right? So you have to create your own life with your own plans.
Yeah.
And if you just flow in one direction all your life, you'll have a limited life.
Right.
If you will experience different flavors of life,
Hmm.
where you also slow down a bit and then you take it easy and then you see yourself transition from one to the other, I think that is also one fun, to see myself transition from a very, very focused, hardworking real estate person to a little bit more, relaxed. I'm enjoying the process of
Yeah.
witnessing my own transition.
Yeah.
Whether I'm successful or not, it's another story. But trying to make an effort is a journey.
That's also very subjective, right? What is
It's
success means to you
absolutely
might
no. It's
mean different to
absolutely.
me.
It's very individual, rather. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even subjective. There are no 20 ways of it. There are
Yeah.
probably
It's very individual.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely individual.
Right. But say, for example, you're doing well in life, you run 2, 3 companies, but I'm sure you meet a lot of people who are doing much better than you. And don't you sometimes then feel, oh, I want to reach there? I know that I've defined my enough, but probably I should move my enough to here when I see someone else doing so well. Tell us about that. I'm sure it's very natural to feel that way. What's your point?
I will not be wrong if I say I don't feel that, because I'm in a happy place.
Hmm.
Anything that I try to copy from somewhere else, which is whether it's lifestyle or something, there's a huge risk of losing that happiness that I already have. So I've got something valuable in my hand. I have created my world around it. I see people who are financially doing better, but that is not the measure on which I measure life only. And most of the time, and it might sound very crazy, but most of the time I do not see, if I see somebody to look up to who's more happier than me, maybe one guy who was standing, 85-year-old guy standing, and he was jumping on his balcony in the early morning, and I was very inspired. I was like, this guy is really happy. So that inspires me.
Right.
Not somebody who has a bigger car or a bigger house. I mean, I see them for what they are: increased responsibility, bigger house, bigger, I don't know what to do with it.
But that requires training of your brain as well, right? That requires conditioning. When you are seeing people who are successful than you in terms, I'm talking about financially, you want to reach there, and that's a great ambition. It's not a bad ambition. If you use that stress or that little bit of jealousy, if I may call it, and utilize it better for making yourself better, it's only going to work for you. However, once you reach a point, and if you don't want to compare yourself, that's a lot of conditioning, talking to yourself every single day and working on yourself. It just won't come naturally, would it?
But I think we are looking at it very objectively about some people did some things, that's why they are successful. It really doesn't work like that, right? A lot of conditions are different for different people at different times. What made me financially successful could be completely different from what I learned in my life. It has an impact. It has a point where it comes. But I think somehow there has to be some level of discipline towards work. You do keep, and I think that comes from love of work. If you love what you do, financial dependence on that work comes secondary. You should know that this will also give you financial success. But whether it gives you today or gives you after a few days,
right,
you have that energy because the love drives you rather than the financial. Otherwise, if you will not be I was not financially successful for 15 years. So how did I carry on for 15 years without being financially successful? Like, really, of course, I put food on the table. I managed. I was not bankrupt completely or whatever. Even if I was, I sailed through. But 15 years, 16 years, I cannot say that I made money or wealth. So what kept me going was the enjoyment. If it was only I looked at somebody who did real estate and he made a lot of money and I came into real estate because of that, that would not last 15 years. That would last 1 year, 2 years, and then I'll say this is
then
useless.
You'd quit. Yeah.
Then I'll quit.
Yeah.
So I think the same risk is when you look at somebody else and look at their financial success and want to copy it, because that's not how they got there. They didn't get there by copying. They got there by internally liking what they do.
Yeah.
Is my belief.
Right.
I could be wrong, but this is how I think. There is always things to learn from people. So you learn traits, you learn things that they do which are good, and you see how you can improve yourself.
Yeah.
And I think financial success comes with we are all engaged in some commercial activity or the other. Anything can bring us financial success.
Yeah.
Not real estate, not what you do, not what somebody else. Anything can bring.
Right. But I think somehow we diverted and started talking about life in general, which we discuss
usually do
often. Let's go back to real estate.
Sure.
Let's talk about some areas that are upcoming in real
Okay.
estate right now. Let's talk about Russell Khema.
Yes.
What is your view on Russell Khema? I think there's a casino coming there,
Yes.
and a lot of stock of the town. A lot of developers now moving to Russell Khema, building new projects. What's your take on Russell Khema?
I love Russell Khema. I think Russell Khema's story is very, very strong.
Hmm.
I think there is real uh, footfall that is expected. The huge resort casino. People talk about casino, but casino and a lot of infrastructure that is being built, a lot of hotels that are being built there. It's going to be the entire ecosystem which is going to grow there.
Hmm.
And I am a staunch believer, also an early entrant, and also a big beneficiary of that market. So a lot of people have taken some time to go there, and for the benefit of the others who went there early, uh, I think it has a strong story. I completely believe in that story. Um, Anybody who has not looked at Russell Khema and is shunning it off, I just have one small recommendation. I want them to make a visit
Hmm.
to Marjan Island and to go and drive through it, come back and see how they feel about the energy of what is happening there.
Right.
You will feel, and believe me, and if somebody from Russell Khema is listening, some authority, they should please record a drone video or time lapse of that island, because what's going to happen in that island in the next 2 to 3 years in terms of construction
Hmm.
is worth selling it to a Discovery Channel or National Geographic,
Right.
because something
That good and
crazy is
big.
going to happen there.
Wow.
Because I am aware of how many projects have been sold on that island and the construction which is coming up.
Hmm.
It's going to be like an island going up like this, It's going to be amazing.
They're
From a
doing-
real estate perspective, it's going to be beautiful. I have no idea. I don't
They
have
haven't, I
access.
think-
I'm just saying, it's just a thought to my mind that somebody should be recording the entire island's time lapse.
Yeah. I'll make sure I'll write to them after this pod.
Yes, you have connections.
And
Please
if
do.
they're not doing, probably they can start now.
Yeah, why not?
Right.
It'll be
Uh,
fun to watch.
No, absolutely. So that's good. That's interesting take on Russell Khema. People have mixed views. It's a very interesting take. Let's talk about some areas in Dubai. We know the city is growing. Obviously, there's Dubai South, where the airport is coming, and there's Valley, and there's Damac Hills too. So the city is growing.
Yeah.
What are your views on let's talk about Valley and Damac Hills too? It's completely on the other side of where the airport is coming,
Correct.
the new airport, and Dubai South, obviously, due to the airport, there's a lot of growth and a lot of new projects coming in there. What's your take with the city growing at this pace that it is?
So I have said this many times, and anybody who has heard me before, uh, in in some way or the other, I repeat this analogy
Mhm.
that Dubai population historically has been doubling every 10 to 13 years.
Okay.
What it means is that how much ever Dubai you see today, the same amount of Dubai we need again in 13 years. So now you
Right.
put it in perspective,
Wow.
and all this growth is part of the plan. So for the next 20 years, this is going to be the real estate capital of the world. When I say real estate capital, I'm talking about the construction, the amount of growth in terms of number of units. Last year, Dubai has broken records of the world
Mhm.
of how much off plan was sold in 1 year. This year, it will break that record again within 8 months.
Mhm.
This is going to be the growth capital for construction in the world, growing city wise.
Right.
13 years, you're going to double.
Mhm.
So we need growth in all direction.
Right.
The leadership knows, if you read the 2040 plan,
Yes.
they have urban and suburban centers that they are creating,
Mhm.
individual suburbs which have all facilities for people, because you have to create, for a city, you have to create all levels of living, not only for the rich.
Of course. Yeah.
So people who will be working, teachers, doctors, engineers, everybody, for their families. So we need areas which are differently priced, areas which are very, how do I say,
Luxury.
luxury areas.
Mhm.
So Dubai was a one pot earlier. I think what you'll start seeing in the next 5 to 10 years in Dubai is you'll start seeing these suburban areas and you'll start recognizing what is the Dubai suburb.
Mhm,
And this
mhm.
is Dubai is at that stage of growth as a city.
Right. Give you some names of areas or communities in Dubai, and you could just say, would you invest or would you advise people to invest over there? Could be a little controversial, but let's do this, right?
I think, first of all, invest in Dubai, right? So I'm sure your audience is across the world.
Yeah.
So invest in Dubai, invest carefully, invest small, do take flavor of how it happens,
Mhm.
learn the process, because as I said, next 20 years, it's going to keep growing. So
Yeah.
if you learn to invest in Dubai now, you can participate in a good way in this.
Right.
Do a small investment. So
Yeah.
Dubai, yes.
Yes.
So now all areas are a yes, but
Give us
but
your view.
if you-
I'll give you the name
Sure.
of the area. If you say yes or no for investment, that's okay. Or anything that comes to mind when you listen to that particular community, right?
Okay,
So we'll just leave it open.
sure.
Let's start with downtown.
100% yes.
Al Furjan,
Yes.
JVC.
Yes. I don't know what I'm going to say no to, honestly.
We'll
Because-
see. We'll see.
All right.
We'll see. Dubai Hills,
Yes.
Town Square,
Yes.
Dubai South.
Long term. Dubai South is a little bit overhyped, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I think this airport story is a great story. It's a real story and everything. But if you look at cities across the world, airport does not determine affluence of neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to understand that this is going to be a suburb. This is not going to become the center of Dubai.
Yeah.
Downtown is not going to be replaced by Dubai South. And because, everything is moving, the airport is
Mhm.
moving, so the whole city is moving. I do not buy that completely. But in next 10 years, there will be a lot of activity in that area, the growth in that area. We will grow to that area. But will it become a very affluent area and the prices will go up? Not sure.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
So with caution.
With caution. Damac Hills too.
Again, suburb area with caution, because there is a lot of land between here and there that will get developed, right? So with caution.
With caution. Well, great. Ash, thank you so much. Like always, so much to learn from you. And I know that
Likewise.
you're in the industry and the kind of work you do. And since you have so much ground experience, I take your advice, and I hope our viewers take your advice very, very, very positively, seriously. But obviously, have a word of caution, think yourself, do your own research, and
Yeah.
then only make investments.
Yeah, so I want to give a disclaimer as well.
Yeah.
I did not want to be diplomatic about my answers, so I have given direct answers.
Yeah.
Which does not mean I have given right answers.
Right.
Right? I could be completely wrong. But I made a decision a few years ago that whenever I'm asked opinion, I will give an opinion. I will not be diplomatic about it.
Well, that's
Otherwise, how would I do justice?
how would you add value?
add
Right? I
value.
mean,
So
if you are
people-
diplomatic.
This is my opinion and my opinion only. And this could be completely wrong.
True.
And even I do not trust my opinion 100%. So please, you do not. The first principle is that I will be wrong.
Right.
If I will be wrong, how will I act? And then you act. So with that caution and that 30%, 40% margin of error,
Right. Well,
Happy investing.
With that statement, I think it leaves us for an Ashirwad Deep Talks episode 2 some point in the future, because now there are some more questions that are in my head, but we don't have time.
no problem.
But thank you so
I'm
much
here
for
at your
making it.
disposal anytime. Thank you
Ash.
very much.
Always a pleasure.
Always.
Thank you.